Speaking of improvement, we got to see version, I guess technically it's 1.3 of Joint Tactics Arena. What was
JTA.
your impression of JTA this year?
It's very similar to last year. They did expand a lot more on the UAVs, which was nice. I'm not sure how I feel about JTA in a combined tournament where you have different systems going on. Like, I would almost say JTA might have to be a tournament of its own.
Yeah.
Where it's like, sure, we have a couple of rounds of JTA, but it's straight up like, if you and I are round one, that's day one. Because both games we had, even round 5, which was, we were given extra time for the pairs match. Even we made it all of turn 1 and then 2 actions into turn 2. And that's all we got to. So then that gets into a very interesting tournament situation where round 1 is very violent shaping, and then round 2 is who can get off the amphibious or the air assault, or that one brigade action that manages to punch through the line enough to offset the points right before the clock's called.
Yep. Yes.
And immediately, so first match, the one-on-one, I was facing Cadet Simon Siak. I hope I said that right. So the new Polish cadet, not the returnee. That one went well for me, 105 to 65. Not great point gain wise, and the points for JTA are always calculated kind of weird.
Yes,
it's because Company Commander and Flashpoint is there's 200 in the pot, and we're fighting for whatever's in there. Yeah. Whereas JTA is you start with 50. 10 point. Well, is it 50? Because you have 10 cities. Yeah, 10 cities, 5 points per city. And then if you lose cities, you lose points. But if you blow up stuff and you gain cities, you gain points.
I think it's close. I don't know if that's exactly right, but that's close.
Yeah, please double check me on that one. But that one is a different points mechanism than the other rounds.
Yes, I would agree with that there is an inherent displacement in terms of points. I don't. If there was one that was like that, I don't mind that it's the tabletop.
Yes, I would say it's just an interesting oddity. I'm not points-wise, I'm not for that one way or another. It's just getting through all the rounds of play, and I know we had some really blowout matches, particularly the Army with, was 185 points?
184 points for Major James O'Keefe, and I didn't honestly know, I don't know what Blue had left at that point. So
and it was one of those things where we talked to Jay the adjudicator, or the facilitator, and it essentially came down to, well, he mentioned that someone knew the rules better than the other person.
Yes.
Which then gets into because we were talking about it for round 5. Yeah, round 5 we were competing, but at that point it was just kind of fun because there wasn't any real way we were going to move up. Right. So we'll have some fun, throw some dice. It came down to a couple of lucky rolls, particularly Gucci and Andrew getting initiative for turn 2, which really
initiative, man.
that one really upset the ball game. And then also so that was the big roll, because we could have done some stuff to help stop them. They got 5 of our cities, which force ended the game. But then also the if we had one better dice roll trying to take a town, it would have given us a 4 point. We still would have been 3rd place. Right. Which oh well. I mean, individually, I'm still top Marine. So and you're number 2.
Yeah.
Which congrats to that, by the way.
Thank you. There's definitely not anything I expected.
But yeah, it's just also I think my biggest gripe with JTA is just if you have depending which facilitator you have a wildly different game.
Potentially, yes.
So the individual round facilitator, we played submarines in a very weird way that was not congruent with anything in the in the charts. And I mean, I let it slide because our subs were both equally ineffective.
Right.
And for the one turn we played them on, so then we like moved on to other things. But yeah, it is that's a tricky one, especially for a tournament scenario where you have, depending which facilitator means different things.
Yeah.
And then I know the other army player, the captain, apparently he was able to stump his opponent because there was a whole debate over, okay, if I play this and I land here, it's unopposed because he left the city blank.
Right.
He talked to the adjudicator, or the facilitators to check Roger, like, that is in the spirit and the black and white of the rules. And then the army cat was able to throw up a objection, and I don't, this was like, hearing from around, but I was able to, well, if I had known that, I would do this, and like was allowed by the same facilitator to shift a battalion to defending that hex, which threw off the plan. And so again, I like JTA. I think it has a great teaching tool. And I also think it would be great as a tournament, again, where it's just JTA, where you have a full day for us to throw dice and grind down to whatever the objective may be, as opposed to, like missile squadron ships. I know the Poles came out with some, I know they have a copy and they've probably been like nuking their strategy. So they came up with a very cheese strategy of having like the Navy in the back row, 6 ships and 6 hexes.
Yep.
Which makes it very, again, it's one of those things where between real tactics and then tournament tactics.
Yep. I mean, not going to lie, that exact situation happened to my partner and I versus the Canadians, where I was joking initially about how we wanted to target their Navy very aggressively, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of points if you're able to do that. And it became good.
Well, and particularly with the Navy, the ships are glass cannons.
Right.
So, they have a lot of decent missiles that they can blast off at once.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes yes, in the rules you can get them to port, you can reload and do all this stuff, but in the time constraint that we have, where we have 8 action points between 6 for round 1 and 2 for round 2, so that the average when you only have 8 action points, like you're gonna alakablam the ships and hope they survive. Because I don't know if you did your Mew action with landing troops, Marines amphibiously, but there's not a lot of time to set conditions, and it starts ending up a lot of the same, where the navies get mauled because they start glass cannoning each other or everything else.
Right.
And then round 2 is a lot of air assaults because all the surface air missiles are gone.
Yep.
The SHORAD's been beat to hell, and then it's just trying to grab open points wherever you can, or land and try and force a city to get that 20-point swing, because if you take my city, I lose 5 points, you gain 15.
Yep. No, it was a very funny at the very last minute, because we had a delay, right? Props to Canada for shaking off the hangover, putting on their uniform, and coming ready to fight. And they were ready to fight, because while I'm speculating, I'm saying, hey, let's go naval action early, because in the worst case, your Navy gets sunk and you never get a round off, right? So if we go ahead and write them off and say, hey, they're going to get sunk anyway, so let's do what damage we can first.
Use it.
And I was like, you know what? Instead of trying to reload them in the ports, why don't we just kick them to the back row and make it so that nothing can reach them unless they move their stuff closer to blah, blah, blah. That was purely speculation. And then Canada shows up, and their opening move has every single ship in its own hex on the back row. Which, talk about shitting the bed on, like, okay, our strategy now is for shit. And one of the funniest reactions that I had was, all right, ISR, we're going to start hunting ships. And we fail to roll. So I can't see any ships. And it became this, like, well, what do I do? I was like, I know what I'm going to fucking do. I'm going to schwack some goddamn airports. Because if I can destroy, like, if I can't destroy that, I'm going to at least remove their ability to conduct an air assault. And that actually became hugely effective towards what it was they were trying to do. They still were able to conduct ground assaults and affect me in completely other ways. But had we not made that last minute decision, it definitely would have changed the way they were trying to do things. It never helped that we didn't win initiative once.
Yeah.
In our 3, we made it all the way to round 3.
Oh, dang.
We started round 3. We were moving. We started almost an hour later than everyone else, and we made it all the way into, I think, two turns into round 3 each.
I think that's the record.
We didn't have initiative once. And had we had initiative, I think, one time, then I think it would have been a very different fight. So I'm kind of curious to see, overall, does JTA become ineffective if you never win initiative? I think I've only run into one person that won without winning initiative. But I think it has happened at least once. So I can't fall back on that.
Yeah, it definitely sets you back. And I know our naval strategy that Nate and I did was we brought the ships in close to create that combined IADs with all the surface stuff. But then it just... 2MAF was in the back. They had a frigate stacked with their LPDs and all the other frigates around it. And then they were able to start plinking off things one at a time. And it just mass versus dispersion. They were able to pick things off one at a time. So we started launching munitions and pulling ships back as best we could.
Yeah.
And then we did disrupt their turn 1 air assault. Because we managed to disrupt the aviation, which I think, and again, my shower thought that I've had is, if you take, the game becomes radically different if you take out both both assault support squadrons and the C-130s.
Yes.
Because then they can't, because all the games is like air assault for the big swing in the back. Otherwise, they have to try and slog through one of the 2 forward cities with the mech infantry and the armor to try and get around.
Yeah.
And to get into the backfield.
I mean, it's the reason why I like JTAs, because it is a balance of assuming risk versus setting conditions. Because the moment you move something, you've opened up a gap. Correct. But to your point, like some people kind of have learned the lessons, like, well, I need to do air assault early. And it's like, well, okay, but if you do air assault too early, you open yourself to getting your air assault shot down, which is doubly bad, because not only do you lose the use of that air, but you lose the battalion that was being airlifted.
And so that happened to me during the first game.
Right.
Yeah, I did lose one battalion, but I did take a city with the other 2.
Yes. So a lot of times what I'll end up doing is I will keep my air assault in reserve. I'll have it be a reaction card, just because if at some point they're doing something to me where I'm like, oh shit, that usually means they've abandoned something that I'll use my air assault to go and take. Mm-hmm. And just by doing that, I'm making them react a little bit more than they would otherwise. But at the same time, I have to know where some of those anti-air are. Like a lot of times I'll split the 2 air that goes with the air assault, because one is going to be my cap, so that if they try to shoot it down, I can at least use my cap to try to defend it.
Yep.
And then the other one is just to plus up whatever it is I'm trying to assault. Unless, of course, I know, hey, they've got all of their anti-air assets over here, so I basically can run in unopposed from this direction, and I can at least land all my dudes.
Yep.
Because they have to be within 3 hexes. And so that becomes huge on the rotor side. Having to have something within 3 hexes. It makes you spread out your anti-air a little bit more, so that air assault doesn't just come in and wipe you clean. But that means that you're exposing something else. Right?
Oh yeah, and yeah, I mean it's also with Gucci, like they had a great mech infantry push down our left side. They managed to take the double city down there and overrun that with a combined air assault and the mech infantry. Yeah. But then at the end of the game, we also managed to have all that mech infantry completely cut off. So yeah, they're in the city, but they're out of supply.
So That's what happened to us with the Canadians, except that I had destroyed the airfield, so they couldn't accompany it with the air assault. They were able to drop the battalion and artillery with the C-130. That was the only thing they were able to do. But the problem was that it wasn't their mech infantry; it was their tanks. Which it's like, oh, haha, like how big a difference? It's like, well, it's a big difference when you're trying to roll a 9 instead of trying to roll an 8. And it's like, oh, one piece, like no, like we had our mech infantry trying to get this stinking tank out of the city, and we couldn't do it. We finally ended up. We got one back, and that was a very funny. Like they did an overrun on the adjacent airfield, and like one of the last things I did was, hey, we're gonna pull that air assault. We went and picked up what we had dropped earlier to bring it back. And it was a good thing we did, because after that they overran the airfield. That was it. And that's just like, all right, well, now they're there, and now I've got mech infantry and air assault infantry trying to attack these guys. We got one of them eventually with brigade action. But then you start running into, it's like, well, you've already used these guys in this turn, and you're like, I can't use them again. Right. It's like, now I'm just screwed. Now they've got one city, and that's all she wrote. So I got to hand it to the Canadians that completely hungover, and there is one really good story though. Like Lex lost his die roll privileges because they did one of their assaults just on like one of the forward cities, one of the post cities. Right. They took their mech infantry and they plussed it up all the way to a D20, and he rolled a 1. Ooh. And it was this like, oh, and so Kevin had to roll the rest, almost the rest of the game, because it's just like that's just devastating at that point. Yeah, it's just the truth though. That does happen. Sometimes you will roll a 1. Obviously, we could talk about JTA for way too long, because I'm not even close to being done talking about all the things that we did do. I did want to get as much feedback to Tim as possible through some of these discussions. What were your thoughts and feelings on the security forces? Did you use them effectively? You feel were they useful, value add?
Round 1, I definitely used them effectively because I was able to move them, at least, put some pieces in cities and create enough uncertainty as to what was where. Yep. Tried to do that with Gucci, but they had some more luck on ISR rolls, and they were able to nug out where they could go, and they had some decent air assaults, which, the air assault at the end was what did us in at 5 cities. Yeah. No, I thought the security company, they barely can hit anything, so they pretty much just get rolled up. But it is nice where they make them stop, or at least if they get overrun, they get maybe one more hex.
Yeah, I do think that it's the creation of uncertainty, and then it affords you the ability to prevent. So, like, I was able to overrun a port. That was a fjord port. So I think that was kind of a one-off. That was someone who's like, hey, it's here. Let's see if I can make it useful. Yep. Like, no, I'm going to overrun the thing because there wasn't anything there to prevent it. Right. But I had it protecting a port that had a ship in an attempt to rearm a ship. And all it did was prevent an undetected insertion by SOF. And so it's like, okay, there's value there in that. So like I was lucky. I wasn't necessarily. So they also tried to rearm ships, but I had a SOF that we hadn't played yet, and it became all right, well, instead of trying to, ISR everything or conduct target acquisition, which was the original plan, there's a ship there, which means I can conduct direct action. Right. And I'm just going to put all the cards on the table. So it's all 4 soft tokens into one port undetected because there was nothing there. Yeah. And so he saw that and tried to do the same thing to me, but I at least had the security forces there, which meant he had to roll for all the guys that went in there. And they detected a couple of them, so it was down to 2. Now, those 2 were successfully able to destroy the ship. Right. But the simple fact that the security forces were there meant that it wasn't 4 on one ship, it was 2. So, effectively, it doubled the chances that my ship would survive. Yes. If you want to play with percentages that way. So, I do think they were a value add. it was very noticeable that there were no rules in the rule book regarding them. So hats off to the ability to produce the physical tokens without getting any chapters into the rule book. So hopefully, I think they're a sustain is my initial feedback to Tim. We should keep them. We should get some rules into the rule book. Certainly in terms of their capabilities against, say, soft tokens, you know, and there's something to be said. I get it. They're a D4, but they can be promoted with artillery to a D6. So I guess theoretically, if an they could defend against an air assault once.
Yeah, or just infantry, really. But if it's the armor coming over the ridge, that's
if it's armor or if it's mech, those are both shield 7s, I believe.
I think, or I'd have to double check. Yeah, but I think a D6 won't get you there.
Right. So I think there's only it's only the air assault.
Because I think one of the tanks is up to a D8 or up to like 8 armor.
Yeah. What? So the first tank battalion has a shield 8.
Yeah.
I know this because it was in my city, and I attacked it 3 different times, and you had to roll a 9 or better, and we never could do it.
That was the one we tried to have save our port city from Gucci's assault from his armor, and it got. I mean, it did some damage, but pretty much got wiped out turn 1.
But yeah, you're putting tanks on tanks, like it's that's rough anyway. But it was. I would like to see the security forces. I get it, having a little D4 down there that you can plus to a D6, but it just means that you're only preventing air assault. That was probably a very specific choice on his part. I don't hate it, but I also would like to see if it could be plussed all the way up to a D8, just in terms of like, I don't know, just. And you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just reaching for the moon. Because with a D6, theoretically, you could roll a 6 and still get about half of what could come at you between air assault, airborne, and the straight leg infantry. You should be able to get. That's about half of the forces. So maybe that is appropriate. I don't know. Yeah. This is fun on-air speculation about. Hey Tim, this is what I'm thinking. Like you might have done a really good job on the D4. Because then if you want anything higher than that, then you should waste some loitering munitions on them, you know? Like, I can't imagine anyone actually wasting loitering munitions on security forces, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we pushed towards one of his cities, or one of his double cities, the Marine track battalion hit it, and now I realize I didn't really need to. I just need to figure out what it was. I didn't, because it doesn't have security forces don't have zone of control.
Right.
But I mean, we hit it, we killed it, we got into the hex.
Yep.
So now, excuse me. So now that we control that intersection, which then enabled our mech infantry to barrel down the way.
Yep.
To try and collect some points before we got overrun.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to slice it. I sincerely hope that while I'm in Quantico, that Tim will publish Joint Tactics Arena, and at some point I will be able to participate in a full-on tournament because I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think that would be a final flesh-out opportunity before the next Commandant's Cup to make sure all the facilitators are on the same page. My facilitator was excellent. I can't give Dan enough credit. That he was extremely patient with everyone that I saw him work with, including me twice. Very open to discussion and thinking through all the different possible outcomes and making sure we understood what was going on and why. And I know that's not always true of all facilitators, and so I really pay him a lot of compliments there.
Yeah, I love. Nate and I both love having Jay for the round 5 match, and he was fun. He enjoyed having us, like he said. You know, props. Like it was just, in his opinion, it was just like it was just a great match overall between player etiquette and courtesy. You know, the plans themselves. It came down to really a couple dice rolls.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jay was really good, and we had a good time with that one.
All right. Well, there's a little bit more feedback for Tim to assimilate. Hopefully, that results in a final published copy out soon, so that we can purchase one. I don't know what Major O'Keefe is going to do with a copy, because he seems to have a pretty good grasp on it already. But I know he earned his copy as well from the Cup, and we look forward to getting to try to regain some of our credibility, our top-ranked Marine player again. Hopefully next year we'll have another chance to put you on the podium and have the Marines reclaim the top spot at the Commandant's Cup. Indeed.
Yeah, we're still we're on the somewhere on our CG's list to sit down and have a debrief with. I already got some slides up around on the command read boards to try and pimp up some interest for next year, because Tim says the Mar Admin's dropping this month to start the tournament in September. So definitely very much getting interest in at the MFEA Wargaming Society, and just trying to start getting more ideas, getting teams together, and more people interested in participating. Can't wait for Tim to send out the survey, because I have lots of notes in these wonderfully provided little pamphlets.
Yeah.
The welcome back was just great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. I wanted to send out that survey because I have a lot in here that might go away if I wait too long. I'm very interested, because at least from what I gleaned at the tournament is Company Commander will look very similar to the Midway scenario, just on different islands throughout the Indo-Pacific. I'm not sure about Flashpoint. He was asking for ideas. He likes some of them, but we'll see how quickly On Target can program or develop those scenarios. I know I got the based on the invite, I got invited in discussion to help them dev out some mechanics.
Nice.
So I got an email today with some stuff on that to help. We'll see what happens, but probably some scenarios, but most likely more like deving out like the actual mechanics of aviation ships, all that kind of stuff. JTA, we'll see how much more developed, and if it's 1.5 for next year. It's, and then I know, or at least I think if I had to guess, the big discussion is how are they going to set up and score the tournament next year? Because as much as I benefited from it for round one, I think double points was too much.
I understood the premise. The idea is that you didn't get to play red and blue, but double points was a lot for a game that a lot of people lost outright without the opportunity to back and fill those points by playing red.
Yeah. So double points for round 5, which it could be just me griping, because again, it was 30 points that it got them over, but it was that I think the double points might have been a bit much, because it really caused some. Well, for round 1, that set the tone of the tournament, because you had 2 teams with 2 victories, and they were first and second the whole time. One team with 1 good victory, and we were third pretty much until the very last dice roll.
Right.
So it really broke out the teams. Whereas, and then if you look at the scores throughout the rest of it, the majority of the other teams were moving up in scores and flipping appropriate places at an expected rate for a tournament. Like, okay, hey, someone gooned up on 4th and slips down to 6. The Canadians came in at the end at 9th and finished up at 6th. Some well within the like the average expected drama in the tournament, but the top 2 spots were the top 2 spots the whole time, and it was from setup in round 1. So I think that's probably, I think that might be Tim's big concern going into next year, is how do we set that up? Because again, the excuse me, the drama for round 5 is the Poles beat the Army, but it didn't get them enough points to get them to Cup.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll be interested to see what, if any, changes come out of that. Like I said, having 5 rounds at all was a surprise. and not an unpleasant one, because I do think there was a lot of value to each of the way those were set up. I'm looking forward to having the message out earlier, because I know that was a hiccup for a lot of people, is not knowing about it until the 11th hour, and hopefully that gives us an opportunity to get more competitors who are going to stick all the way through, so we don't end up with the people falling off. And really hoping that whatever scenarios are created, that they are tested and debugged early enough that doesn't become a deterrent for Marines to keep coming back, because that's already been a little bit of feedback based on the Flashpoint campaign scenario. I don't think it's unsolvable. It's something that I really hope I've driven home, in that I think the game itself is sound. It has a lot of capability. We just got to iron out a couple of those bugs, and hopefully through some playtesting we can get that feedback turned around rapidly. I'd love to see an expansion of the idea of each MEF having at least one team. I think that was a really good kind of last minute pivot, and I think if we start there, we might have an opportunity to really encourage more. And I like to think that hopefully what that will turn into is MEFs being responsible for their own tournaments leading up to a Commandant's Cup qualifying tournament itself. If for no other reason, I'd like to see some of that pressure taken off of Tim's shoulders, where now he doesn't have to worry about allowing someone like me, who, did well, but got in because I had opponents fall out and then was awarded pity points because they didn't get to play all the way. By the time the Commandant's Cup qualifying tournaments engage, that there's already been a streaming of these are the top 3 to 4 teams from each MEF, and then we're going to have them fight it out. Probably don't need that on the PME side, because he's right there and he can go smack them around in the face if they're not playing their turns. So I think that's something that he can let roll. But I am hopeful that someday we do reach that level of fidelity in our competitors, because it's only going to make all of us better.
I think that's going to happen next year, because Tim seemed he was very so. I think right now, like, there will be a spot, because there's certain spots reserved for a category for the top 12 teams. So it's one for PME. Yep. He's very positive, at least talking with him, he's very positive. Each MEF will get a spot.
Okay.
And then, so essentially it'd be like last year, champions get a return spot, potentially. That wasn't in play this year because Matt and I split up.
Right.
So that wasn't possible. I think last year McTogg was able to get that.
Yes, I know he talked about that, but he has also in the same breath mentioned the goal of splitting teams as a potential desire.
We did talk somewhat that between Tim Callian and I, where typically with the rotations, you're not going to see the same team all that often. Yeah. Gucci's been to all 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
But he's had a different partner each time.
Yeah, exactly.
So that, between our moving lives, I know, depending how that goes, Lucas at the Polish Land Forces University may take advantage where he finds 2 freshmen.
Yep.
And then proceeds to build a team for 4 years of domination.
Yep.
But then, at least for seats-wise, PME, 2 allied seats, and then a seat for each MEF. It seems like that might be going forward, which that plus hopefully the Commandant putting pressure on the FMF to, hey, I just handed the trophies to 2 Army dudes and 2 Polish kids.
Yep.
What are you guys doing?
Yep. I agree.
Because, especially being out in Europe now, our allies and partners are all about this tournament, because we're the Marine Corps, we're great at war fighting, and this is it is a more prestigious thing for our allies than it is for the Marine Corps right now.
Yep.
So the Finns, Nate did a French wargaming course, and one of the Finnish guys was there. And so the Finns are going to gear up for next year. Yeah.
Yep.
So they want the revenge on the Poles.
Yep.
So the Finns are all in. Australians were all in 2 years ago with like 10 teams in the pre-qualifiers.
That's right. I remember that.
I haven't seen the breakdown for this year. And then the Poles, obviously, Lucas is full steam ahead. He wants the trophy next year.
Yep.
And then it's, and it may also be some other things. So it won't happen this year, but I mentioned to Tim, it's like we had a MAR admin announcing it. Mm-hmm. I think we need 2 more MAR admins. One announcing who the finalists are, mm-hmm. and then also announcing who wins at the end.
Yes.
As opposed to just this one, like Marine Corps Information Awards. You have your announcing one to put in all the packages, and then 9 months later, it's like, hey, here's top Space Marine. Here's top all this. So he seemed very, he liked that. He just wasn't going to do it in the year that the Army won.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think for Tim, he has been like, it's all learning experience, yes. Like he definitely learned a lot about the MAR admin submission, because there was no reason for it to be late. Like he had done everything he was supposed to.
Yeah. It just,
and then for whatever reason, it just sat. And it becomes this process of like, what can I do different to ensure that this doesn't happen? Mm-hmm. And so his solution obviously is like, all right, well, I'm doing the announcement in May, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm not taking this chance that I'm starting these tournaments in September and the message gets launched halfway through September. That's not the way to do it.
And then they're going to be very strict about especially with the Marine, about the timelines. So because Colleen was... You could tell she still had some scar tissue from this season, and she really wanted to throw punch some people because of timeline creep. Well,
I mean, that did happen at one point last year where there was a tournament start, and then the cloud had to do
something or other,
and it set everything back by 2 weeks. It was like, wait, whoa, like what? It's the middle of a tournament. You can't suddenly have maintenance, and it's just one of those. There's only so many things that you can control. I applaud Tim's team, and I laugh because the reserves have been such a wild card because the travel was never the issue. It was getting us paid appropriately. And little known fact, I thought we could just run drills, but the money from Marine Corps University is by law not allowed to pay for us. And that's just one of those, everyone that we've talked to is like, I didn't know that. There's not a reason for us to know that. It doesn't make any sense. It's all going towards the same objective, which is to train Marines. Why in the world would this be an issue? And it just becomes to the weird ways, the weird nature sometimes of MFR and the way that we work. It won't apply to me necessarily next year, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Because you'll be
on the PME team.
I'll be in the PME division. So, hey, I'm going to have a lot of work because now everyone's going to be required to participate in PME. I'm not just going to be able to sneak in.
Hopefully. I know I tried to get Tim to confirm when that might come out. Yeah. He didn't reveal his cards too much on that one. But I'm still hoping that comes out for all of MCU.
Well, one of the goals, again, of this podcast is to continue to bring more and more attention to wargaming and what we're doing to the Marine Corps, both FMF, MFR. It ideally will also serve the purpose of letting those, whether it's general officers or colonels, recognize that the Marines that are earning their seats at this competition deserve to be there, and they are gaining a great deal that they will bring back to the fleet by having been there. That is a worthwhile cause to fund, because in all respects, it's not actually that expensive in terms of what we could be using some of that money for. And if we're still able to continue to do what we are doing, that is get guys into hotels, if MFR can't find the money to either provide us the IDTs or the ADOS, then we're just not trying hard enough, in my opinion. And hopefully I don't ruffle too many senior leaders within MFR's feathers about that. But General Anderson was there, the commanding general of MFR. So if he didn't take the time to see what Objective 1 was producing, then that's his loss, especially because he had 4 reservists there. And that is a big deal. And I only want to see more of that going forward.
Oh yeah, and even when I came back to MFEA, like people were mentioning a little bit in the hallways, some jokes, some wholehearted congratulations. But we have a deployed small little detachment out here, information support element, and one of the staff sergeant there was talking to me about it. And he was asking, he's like, "Hey, is this asking hey, it's the Commandant's Cup. What level of prestige is it in the Marine Corps?" And I explained to him Last year, Matt and I, we got NAMs so that it would pop in our record as opposed to just, being some random billet accomplishment line item that just sits in. And it's maybe, hopefully someday soon it becomes a thing like, the motivation trophies at EWS and, the top student and, all those different, accolades, and the cup actually becomes a, like, hey, this is a straight up check the commendatory box.
Yep. Well, Chris, you're doing your part. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being on here again, and look forward to continuing our conversations and seeing you out there on the wargaming battlefield.
Oh yeah, can't wait. What is it? It's like Napoleon at Wars. Maybe the next thing pops up, or some Littoral Commander.
Next, I believe. Yeah. We'll keep an eye out for that one. We'll see you out there on the battlefield.
Yeah, look forward to next time.